So, once you're at this point, we're going to do some things to make this bump look more like a nose, the mouth look more like a mouth, and I think I want to do the eyes last because they tend to be the part that we obsess over the most, and they have the most life in them. So let's start with a mouth, and we had that line that I've erased part of. I remember that was kind of a flattened M shape. You guys remember this part? You guys over here, come closer. Gather around, get close, get so you can see. So the flattened M shape is where you want to start. And to do this, we're going to do a lot with the modeling tool. And the technique, this is called modeling, and that's why this is a modeling tool. So I'm going to put the end of the tool in. See, it's got a little scoop, a little curve. I'm going to put the scoop side down because I'm going to pull the bottom lip down. And if you look at your lips, that bottom lip curves down, the top lip curves up. So I'm going to put it in at the along the lines of the M, and I'm going to pull down like that. So again, along the M, again along the M, along the M, and so I'm starting to separate the lips. It looks a little blocky and chunky right now, but we'll soften that up in a second. Same thing with the top lip, it goes up. Follow the M shape, follow the lines you drew in. And as we make the mouth, we're going to be working with it as it's kind of open at the very end. We're going to push it together. Okay, you don't want to build it together. We'll get there. Okay, so from here, it looks real sharp edged. I'm going to go in and do some softening. I'm also going to put, if you look at it from the side, we need some Botox in these lips, right? We need to puff them up a little bit. So I'm going to push them out. And that's just my hand on the inside, and you can see it coming out, and I'm pushing right in the middle where they meet. And if you go through the wall, that's totally fine. We'll close it up like I said. And there is an opening in the human head at that location, right? The mouth, it's an actual opening, so it's okay. Can you have your sculpture have an open mouth? Yes, you can, but if you're gonna do that, then we need to see what's inside the mouth. You can't have an open mouth and no teeth or no tongue showing because that's just weird. So I'm just gonna clean this up a little bit and then soften it. I'm basically doing what I did before. And now I'm going to push under the bottom lip to create that little curved area under the lip. Create some shadow. And now I'm starting to take the edge off of this, so it doesn't look like something that would cut you. The cleft and the top lip. So I'm pushing it in a little bit up here to get this, the edge of the lip protruding like actual lips. It's still looking a little open. But now I'm going to start closing it up. So I'm going to close in from the sides. And as it kind of goes together, that's when it starts to look alive. This little cleanup stuff we can do later. Okay, so there is a version of a mouth, and try this a few times. You know, you just take the paddle and smash it back up, mush it back together. You can do this over and over again till you get it just right. Okay, the nose. I'm getting the general shape about right now. But it's feeling a little thinned out when I pushed out the nose, so I'm going to add some clay to it. Remember, you want even thickness throughout. And look at your picture. Look at the picture that you're using as your visual aid for the subtlety of the different shapes of nose. A lot of variation in noses. Some are pointier, some are longer, some are bumpier, some are turned up, some are turned down. Some are wider in the nostrils. And I'm going to make kind of a generic nose here. And I like to do this with two hands, doing the same thing on both sides at the same time. It just seems to work better that way. So it's this almost triangular shape that comes to a point, but not a point. It's kind of a rounded point. And down here around the nostrils, we need some definition, because if you look at each other's noses right here, if you're up here and you're snowboarding down the side, it's a nice smooth ride. But over here there's a big drop off. So I'm going to take that round end of the modeling tool again and create that shape. So you want to see some shadow around there. And of course this is the fun part. Got to open the nostrils, right? And do you want flaring nostrils? And this goes down into the cleft above the lip. All right, eyes, you want to get into the eyes? Okay. So, number one mistake people make with the eyes is they don't have deep enough sockets to start with, because we're going to put the eyeballs in, or at least part of the eyeballs. I'm going to start with a ball of clay, and I'm going to literally kind of flatten it a little bit. That's still too big. And as I put it in here, I'm going to spread it out a little bit. I still want it to be round, but I don't want it to stay an actual ball of clay in there. So I feel like that's a little too deep. I'm going to add. Let's try that again. So make the surface round like an eyeball is, and make sure that the eyeball is under the eyebrow. The eyebrow needs to come out further, otherwise you're going to look bug-eyed, and that's just weird. So the eyeball's in, the eyeball's round, the eyeball's about the right size. It's starting to feel a little strange, like something's wrong, he doesn't have eyelids, it's creeping me out. The pupil, it's a little trick. Create this cone-shaped hole in the eye. You see how I kind of flared out the edge a little bit? Just gently peel that back. And soften it. And from a distance, when you step back, the shadow and the play of light and shadow in that kind of makes it seem more like a lifelike eye. And then we need some eyelids, yes? So I'm going to start with, I should have a board. Ooh. Are you getting this down here? Can you see that? Mm-hmm. Technology. You know how big video cameras were when I was your age? It's like this massive thing that sat on your shoulder. Had a big microphone coming out of it. Cassette tapes that were this big. You've seen it in the movies, right? Okay, so I took my fat spaghetti coil and I kind of pinched it on the table. And I want one defined edge. See how that has a flat edge to it? That's going to be the edge of the eyelid. And we're going to do the bottom eyelid first. And to go back to that shape of the eye that I was talking about, there's a tear duct over here. There's the bottom of the curve and then a gentle slope upward. And now compress, 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 compress. So this is applique, remember applique? Okay, the top eyelid, same thing. fat spaghetti coil turned into fat fettuccine. And I'm going to start bending this to the shape of the top of the eye. And here's another trick. If you look at each other's eyes, look at the eye. The pupil is the black part and the iris is the colored part. Look in somebody's eyes and tell me, do you see the full circle of the top of the iris? You don't. The top eyelid is almost always covering the top of the iris, unless you're like super bug-eyed or freaked out or something. So I'm going to overlap that a little bit. And so the peak of the curve should be to the left of the center, or the left of center for the right eye. Yeah, so that's about where I want to be. And now out comes the modeling tool again. So we're going to get in. And compress that eyelid. And that should create an additional line that everybody has, or a fold where the eyelid folds into the eye socket. So try to touch it as little as possible at this point. And if you made a mistake, just rip it out and do it again. The first one will seem pretty easy, and it'll seem a little trickier to get that second one in there. Push the brow ridge out a little bit more, because you're going to be trying to match up the right size and scale and make sure your pupil's pointing the same direction. Otherwise you end up cross-eyed, and that's weird too. But okay, tell me, raise your hand. I saw the video and then I just saw the live demo. How was the video? How was the live demo compared to the video? Thumbs up is I can't believe you made me watch the video. It was useless compared to this. This was way better. Thumbs down was the video by far. Was better than what I just saw. Some sideways that they were the same. I guess I won't be replaced by a robot then. Okay. All right, give it a shot.